This week I learned my reading plans for January just got completely wrecked, and it's not even December yet. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, guys, as we have reached November. We are entering the final stretch run of 2023, a year that has just completely zipped by for me, and I'm pretty sure it probably has for you as well, guys. Lots of fun things to talk about this week. We did kind of close down spooky season, and we are into the next month, but we got to kind of talk about all the things that happened this week, are going to happen next week, and, all of the in-between. So let's begin, guys. Like usual, let's talk about what am I reading, guys. I was late to making this video because I was reading this morning, and I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Yes, quite good. I'm very, very happy because I wasn't sure how this was going to go, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was getting a little discouraged because I felt like the last 6 Realm of the Eldling books were somewhat of a chore and or disappointing in a lot of places. So I was kind of curious, had the series peaked for me at Fool's Errand? Was it ever going to reach those highs again? I can say yes, because this book, guys, this is exactly, I think, what I liked about Fool's Errand versus Golden Fool. That makes sense. I know that some people are going to be like, wait, I can't get these names straight. Fool's Errand was the first book in the Tawny Man. I loved it. It's my favorite book in the Realm of the Eldlings. And I felt what it did really, really well is it did slice of life in a way that it was something that I was interested in. They were just kind of hanging out in this cabin, having tea, telling stories, and I loved it. It was great. Whereas with Golden Fool, there was a lot of that, except it wasn't that fun. I wasn't having a good time doing it. This brings all that stuff back, guys, and it wraps it around a little bit of that dad shit that I tell you guys that I love constantly. So it's got a coming-of-age story. It's got different POVs than just Fitz, and I think that helps. It helps a lot because I feel like now we're finally getting a chance to see, what Fitz is like through other characters' eyes instead of always just, him as the sole narrator of a story. So that's really cool. We saw it kind of briefly with one other character in Live Ship Traders, but blink and you miss it. So I think now getting that from the eyes of someone that is a little younger and can kind of give us a view of what people think about Fitz is really, really a nice touch. But I'll say, guys, where I'm at right now, if you've read this, you probably know. I'm the most frustrated I've ever been with Fitz in my entire life. So many times this series, you just want to shake him and say, God dang it, Fitz. With this, it's like, a moment that I feel like as you're reading this book, you keep waiting for, and then it happens, and then Fitz does something that's just completely like, what are you doing, man? So, it's very good, guys. I'm very, very encouraged. I'm hoping that, the next book won't have that same kind of turnaround, where I went from a book I really, really loved, and then that second book was like, for real. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen here. As we are into, down the stretch they come, I guess you would say, with Realm of the Eldlings, I'm hoping that there isn't going to be another book that's 100% set up, for the final book. Never know. But with this, guys, I'm very, very pleased with where it's headed, and I'm having a good time in that world again. Even as awful things continue to happen sometimes to these characters, it's just no other fantasy author can do this. Write a book that's this long, and you look at it and you say, yeah, well, what exactly has happened in the book? And you can say not much, and for some reason you want to keep reading. So she's just a magician in that way, and that's why she will always be the first lady of epic fantasy. So very, very excited. I'll be finishing that as soon as I am done recording this, most likely, guys. I also, I did start Empire of the Damned. Not that far into it yet. Here's the deal with people are like, oh, are you more excited to read Fool's Assassin than Empire of the Damned? Probably not. Here's the deal with this is I only got I got the physical arc of this. And I can't talk too much about the details of this book, guys, because I don't know. I haven't talked to Mr. Christoph about, the embargo rules or anything. So I don't know how much I can say about it. So just say right now, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It has taken some turns already that I was like, wow, I didn't see it going that way. So it's definitely not predictable, but it definitely feels like I am glad to be in Day's Death once again. But the reason I'm so much further in Fool's Assassin, I had some insomnia lately. I know you don't pretend. You pretend you can't see the luggage under my eyes and tell that I haven't been sleeping well. But sometimes those are just always going to be there because I'll never figure out the lighting. Anyhow, again, I've just derailed 3 times trying to talk about why I'm so far in other books, not Empire of the Damned, is I was reading at night, and my wife does not like it when I sleep, or she tries to sleep while I've got the lamp on. So I had to read in the dark. So I was reading off the Kindle, and since I have Full Assassin on the Kindle, I read about 60% of it in the dark the last couple of nights. So that's why I got so much further on that than Empire of the Damned. But after I finish that, I'll definitely be picking up back into seeing what Gabriel and company is up to in Empire of the Damned, because again, most anticipated book of 2024. Of course, I'm going to be excited to read it. But how about what am I going to read, guys? I'm going to keep working on Empire of the Damned. That's going to be the primary goal this week, guys. But I'm also, as soon as I finish Full Assassin, I am going to be picking up The Pillars of the Earth. Yes, this is a reread. If you guys missed that conversation here, if this is your first time watching the channel in a while, the reason I am reading Pillars of the Earth again, the last time I read it, guys, 1996. So I figure a few things have kind of went by the wayside. I want to get into Kingsbridge, the other books in that series here going forward, and I thought it'd be nice to revisit Kingsbridge again with Pillars of the Earth, where it all began, just because I felt like some things are hazy. Now, again, I know that these are standalones. They really don't take very much going on. There are nice Easter eggs and things like that. So, again, Pillars of the Earth, top 20 book all time with me, without a doubt. So I don't mind picking this one up and reading it again. And I really want to, and I'm very excited to do it, because I just remember whenever I read that, the first time I read it, I was really just shocked and appalled in a few places. Like, wow, I never read anything, this graphic, this messed up. Historical fiction isn't really something I was really into, or really haven't been into much since then. And I always remember that this one was one that I absolutely loved. And here's a lot of things. A lot of people have been asking me, Mike, I don't really like historical fiction. Should I read Pillars of the Earth anyway? Absolutely, guys. It transcends the genre, and I can't see any fantasy reader that won't like this. It's got all those things that you like about a fantasy book, except this stuff was based around facts that really happened, the events that were really happening in our history and stuff. So really cool stuff, really cool stuff. So don't believe all the people it's just a book about building a church. I mean, that's a big deal in the book, but there's a lot going on outside of those cathedral walls, and I'm excited to revisit. But that's really all I've got going on for what am I going to read this week, guys. And we'll try to get back into One Piece when I can. I'll make sure I don't pick up my next Kindle read. If I'm having to read in the dark, I can pick up my iPad, because I can read that one in the dark as well. Even though it's really bad for your eyes, but I digress. How about this week on the channel? Did have a couple of things going on. As we did kind of wrap up spooky season, I decided to update that 2020 list I made of my top 10 horror novels of all time. And I thought that I had read enough now that I could update that one. I've had people who wanted me to update it previously, and I was like, I don't feel like I've read enough stuff. I don't feel like enough has changed. The list changed a bit. Some old stuff moved out. Some new things moved in. The order of the books from 2020 definitely moved around. Had a new entrant get way up pretty high in the list. So there were some definite changes. Some things that kind of slid off that some people were unimpressed with. But, again, anytime you do a list like that, you're going to have those kinds of things. But I think the biggest one was that, when I did that 2020 list, or the biggest response in the comments was, where was this very famous book? And I was like, I haven't read it yet. Well, that very famous book was on the list now. So I felt like it was a good time to update that list. I felt like as I try to, incorporate more horror into my reading plans outside of just October going forward, that list is something I can do, like my fantasy series one, update it every other year, because I feel like I'll be reading new things. But it's one of those things where I'm not going to update a list like that unless, I feel like there's a change, because I'm not crazy about remaking the exact same content that I've already done on the channel. I get accused of that a lot, but I don't think that I really do. I know I might regurgitate some things just because I will talk about things in several videos. I know there might be new people that pop in on the channel, and they might not have heard these thoughts before. So if you're a constant watcher, you might notice some things that are repeated sometimes. But when it comes to just making top 10 lists over and over again, I know a lot of booktubers do that. That's not me. My list isn't going to change enough over the course of 1 year for me really to talk about it. So I feel like every other year, I can do the fantasy and maybe the horror one. And maybe eventually I'll read enough sci-fi that I can do a top 10 sci-fi list. I don't know. Right now I don't feel like I've read enough sci-fi books to really justify making that list. But we will see. We will see. I did a standard book review. This one was for My Best Friend's Exorcism book I had a lot of fun with. Grady Hendrix is an author that people have been telling me I would like for a long time. Obviously, I was the target demographic, growing up in the 80s, loving things like The Exorcist and Heathers, which I think is very much an influence on that book. Was a great time. Don't you hate when you think you got to sneeze, but then nothing happens? You just sit there and go, Yeah, good times. Good times. But My Best Friend's Exorcism, fun book, but I thought it had some really serious themes in it and stuff. And so I want to go ahead and get that one out there to wrap up spooky season. And then speaking of wrap up, guys, we did wrap up the month of October, and I named my book of the month, which if you watch some of the weekly updates and stuff, I always say that I don't feel like that could be a big surprise. But this month it was close. I had 4 books that were kind of finalists for my book of the month, and it came down to a coin flip between the final 2. So it was a good month. It was a very, very good month. I was very, very pleased with October as far as what I read. I felt like last year was kind of a big letdown for spooky season, as I did not like a lot of the books that I read. This month, much, much better picks, I think. So hopefully, as I continue to kind of, like I said, do 1 or 2 horror books here or there during the year, I'll probably still put a lot of focus on horror in October, but I won't shove everything that I do for horror for the whole year just in the month of October going forward. That's the plan. So lots of those little standalone books you guys have been recommended to me, like Boys in the Valley, for example. Yeah, those are ones that are going to kind of be leaking onto my regular schedule, not just in October. Boys in the Valley, I just realized I have an arc of that. I forgot I got to send an arc of that. What I always say, guys, is be patient with me, because it'll happen sooner. Or maybe not sooner, but it will happen eventually. And that's one that is definitely on my short list for 2024. We did get a couple of post-credits episodes out over on Mike's Media Reviews. Hope you'll check it out. Me and my wife did reviews of Five Nights at Freddy's, the new movie that just came out. It's direct to Peacock, and Smile from 2022. 2 movies, one that we liked much, much more than the other, but we were pretty happy with both of them. Our kids loved Five Nights at Freddy's. Obviously, that's the target demographic. They enjoyed it quite a bit. And Smile was one that just kind of completely surprised us. I think that was both of our favorite movie that we watched for our Fright Fest this year. So what a nice surprise that one was. So hop over there and check that out. We also recorded one for The Vanishing from 1993. Just haven't put it up on the channel yet, so I'll get that one out here relatively soon. Speaking of soon, how about a little bit of next week plans, guys? What I have planned? Well, obviously, I'll go ahead and do my book haul for October. Lots of new things to talk about. I mean, here's a teaser. I got this awesome set that has matching spines and stuff, which I'll show you. They're just gorgeous. So Pam McMillan, they're just great. They do great collections and stuff. So lots of fun new things to talk about. Lots of lovely gifts that you guys sent me, because you continue to be the greatest. But I'll start to kick off, I guess you would say, my looking ahead to 2024 content. I always do this in November. This will be the 3rd time I have done this video. This is going to be a new series that I plan to start in 2024 in permanent ink. Now, what in permanent ink means is, of all the new things that I ever want to try, these are the ones that I am forcing myself to start in the year. However, guys, it's going to be a little smaller than 2023, because I did make that video in 2023, and I felt like I did drop the ball on a couple of them. There's a couple of series on there that I had to I got so wrapped up in Robert Owings and The Expanse, I was like, I can't start another series right now. So a couple of them did have to kind of shift down a year. So that's my fault. They was permanent ink. They were still in permanent ink. They just kind of slid down. They didn't erase off of my TBR. They just weren't going to make it in this calendar year. So maybe some of those will pop up on that list. And there are several new ones that I want to do as well. Now, I've already had the schedule kind of wrecked a little bit for it, which I'll talk about here in a second for my plans, because I do usually like to plan at least a good, people freak out when I say this, like 12 to 15 months in advance. That's not in ink. That's really very, very easily erasable pencil when I do that. But, for like 3 to 4 months at a time, I like that to be pretty solid on what I'm doing. And I had my plans through March, and they just got completely destroyed. And I have to move into TV and movie talk, guys, to tell you why those plans got destroyed. Because holy shit, guys, the trailer for Shogun on FX Network looks amazing. And here's the thing. I said the Shogun was a book that was on kind of my bucket list. Didn't know when I was going to get to it. It's a 1,300-page hardcover. Very, very intimidating. I got Lonesome Dove off the list this past year. That was one that I kind of felt similarly to and had such a good experience with that. I said, you know what? They're remaking Shogun. They're going to be making a new series of it. So why don't I make sure that 2024 is the year that I read Shogun finally? Well, this trailer came out, and the series debuts in February. So I said, oh, no. So I was planning to do it in April or May or so. So now I've got to move that book up. But, guys, this trailer, and again, that's the thing, is I was freaking about this trailer yesterday. Everybody's like, have you read the book? I've only seen the 1980 miniseries. Haven't read it, but I really, really want to, and this trailer made me want to read it even more. I thought the miniseries was amazing. You know, for what they made in 1980, yeah, sure, it looks low budget in places. It was made for TV, you know, and obviously, and what I mean by that made for TV, you're like, well, you know, this one's going to be made for TV too. Made for primetime television and made for cable television are two very, very different things. And FX Networks, guys, they do quality stuff. They made some of my favorite shows of all time. The Americans is on my Mount Rushmore of, you know, perfect television shows. So I trust FX Network. But here's the thing. I didn't expect them to, I don't know. I guess I kind of expected them to sort of maybe move it up in time, like somehow try to be stupid and make it like modern day or something like that and put a modern spin on it. Does not look like it. Looks like they actually read the book and they actually did like it. Now, here was with me. Hiroyuki Sanada is an actor I love. No matter what he is in, I will watch it. The guy's a legend. People all the time say, what is gravitas? I say, watch Mr. Sanada here. And I can tell you, that is what gravitas is. That guy just commands a presence when he's on screen. And I saw he got cast as Lord Toranaga. I was like, perfect. I can't wait to watch it. So I was going to watch it regardless for him. But this trailer looks amazing, guys. It looks so expensive. It looks like, as John Hammond would say, they spared no expense. The costuming looks great. The battle scenes look epic. It just looks sweeping. And it's just the only thing I would explain what that 1980 miniseries looked like is it just everything just felt kind of sweeping and epic in scope, even for a made-for-TV budget. With this, I guarantee this is probably 100 times the budget what that was, but it just looks so damn good. I just was completely floored by this trailer, and I implore you to go watch it right now. And my plans for reading it, it's a big book, and I do have other plans, so I'm thinking what I'm going to do is kind of split it over a couple of months. I don't know. I've got some time to plan this, so I think I might. It's divided into, I think, 5 or 6 parts within that book, so maybe I'll do, I think Alan over at Library Alexandria did this, where you do like parts 1 and 2 1 month, and 3 and 4. Kind of do it like that, because it is a heavy book, and I don't want my entire month to be taken up by one book. But I am very, very excited to finally read this, because James Clavell, obviously, the guy's a legend, and I can't wait to find out exactly why, even though I have been told that 1980 miniseries was very, very faithful to the source material. But doesn't matter, guys. I watched the Lonesome Dove miniseries before I read Lonesome Dove, and I love the book even more. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But that's one I'm really excited to do, and I can't wait. So anybody else has had Shogun on the bucket list and you want to join with me, 2024 early, that's going to be the year. You guys see this story about Marvel and Blade? The Blade movie, they got Mahershala Ali to play the titular character, which is awesome. Great casting. Great casting. Because I think Mahershala Ali is an amazing actor. Really is. So I was like, that's quite a coup. That's a great get for them. And then this movie's just kind of been languishing for a while. We're hearing about script rewrites and all that. Well, Variety came out with a story this week that really just kind of talked about Marvel knows that they're messing up on some things. They know that they've kind of screwed the golden goose a little bit. And guys, I always tell you, nothing is too big to fail. Nothing. And I think this is just kind of proving it. Look, for me, with the MCU, I'm not going to sit here and try to dunk on it. If you still enjoy it, that's great. For me, I saw the writing on the wall. I knew Endgame was it. That was going to be it. It was going to be nothing but downhill after that. So besides Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, I haven't really watched very much of it. But I think after Ant-Man 3, that was when a lot of people finally were like, all right, yeah, it's over. It's over. And it looks like the Marvels is going to do really bad. But this story about Blade just completely just epitomizes everything that is wrong with Hollywood script writing right now. The rumor is that and this is valid source, guys, at Variety. They have all the feelers in at Disney. Apparently the script was going to focus on 3 women, life lessons, and Blade was going to be the 4th most important character in his own movie. That right there, guys, shows why South Park just made that Join the Panderverse episode and how it's not really that inaccurate. So, I mean, it's easy to see. It's a shame that it took an actor like Mahershala Ali saying, I gotta go, I'm gonna walk, for them to realize that kind of script was a problem. Who are they making this movie for? Because I feel like any fan that would go to see a Blade movie and that's what they get, they're gonna be quite upset. Obviously, you want a Blade movie. You are planning to have Blade in your Blade movie, yes? It sounded like they were kind of trying to Witcher it. You know, The Witcher kind of said, hey, Geralt, yeah, he's like the 4th or 5th most important character, to the point to where Henry Cavill walked. Or Mahershala Ali was to the point where he was like, I gotta go. And that's when Kevin Feige was like, wait. And apparently he fired the scriptwriter and he brought in the guy who wrote Logan. I don't know the name at the moment. I'm sorry. That article is really, really compelling, guys. Read that article on Variety, and it shows that they understand that they've messed up a lot, and it's more so than just, oversaturation, that they try to put too much too fast. I think they realize now they're even trying to talk about getting Robert Downey Jr. back, which I think would be a horrible, horrible mistake because it completely takes the weight away from that moment in game. But, desperate times, desperate measures, and we'll see. We'll see how the Marvels does. I think not this weekend, but next weekend. It's not tracking very good for a $300 million movie. Real quick, House of the Dragon Season 2 did get an announcement of early summer 2024. That's encouraging, and I think that's because, guys, this was unaffected by the writer's strike. Everything was locked before the writer's strike began, so it's just been post-production. So I think the Season 1 came out like late August of 2021, so everybody was kind of expecting that again. So this apparently like maybe May or June, so a couple months earlier than expected, so less than a 2-year turnaround. That'd be very encouraging, and I'm excited, guys, knowing the content that we're going to get in Season 2. Whew, cannot wait to see the reaction. And I got to pour one out before I leave, guys, for old Matthew Perry of Friends fame. Matthew Perry did tragically pass away this week, guys. Huge fan of Friends. I mean, that was probably one of the first sitcoms as a young adult that I made sure that I caught every single week. It came out when I was a freshman in high school, and I watched it every episode until the end. Never missed it. Amazing show. And I think what really makes this hurt is like Chandler was always kind of the character I identified with because he not the coolest cat. He used self-deprecating humor to kind of disarm people and gain their affection. That's kind of what I've always done. Is you make fun of yourself before someone else has a chance to make fun of you. I used Chandler quotes nonstop. We reviewed The Host on Post Credits the other week, and I said by Bong Joon-ho, just like I did, Ms. Shalanley or Bong. It just so many things about that character. Could this coffee be any better? So it's really tragic. And, the guy had struggled with alcohol and drug abuse for years. Seemed like he had finally gotten his life on track, and then to go this way, it's just as frustrating as it was when Scott Hall passed away. That guy should have died decades ago, and he finally beat his demons, and then he died in just complications to surgery, which is just a tragic, tragic loss as well. So it's really, really sucky. And a lot of people I know started doing like Friends marathons. I saw TBS was doing like the best Chandler episodes, and for the first couple days I was like, too soon. But I did finally watch some last night, and it was like I was laughing, but I was sad at the same time. So I know a lot of people love to dunk on Friends about how terrible they think the show is in hindsight. I've always loved it, and I always will love it, and I rewatch it constantly. But I'll do so now with a heavy, heavy heart. But guys, hug your loved ones, because you never know. Just like that, it can go bye-bye. So guys, what are you up to this week? What are you watching? What are you reading? What do you listen to? What are you playing? Drop in the comments, guys, and let me know. And have yourselves an awesome, awesome weekend.